I was really pleased with the progress and the effort that we had last week during the bye week. I think we made some improvement as a team. We had good focus on what we were doing. We did have an opportunity to work on some of the future opponents that we have and some of the issues that they might bring, but and we're able to work to some degree at some time against a little bit of what LSU does. But I think the most important thing is we wanted to improve in areas that we felt like we needed to make progress in, and I felt really good about what we're able to accomplish. I'm not going to insult anybody here in terms of talking about this game, but like every game that we played this year, this is the most important game that we played all year long, because it is the game that we play this week, and it's our goal to put our team in good position to be able to play the best football that they can play. And I think it's important that you focus on playing good ball. I mean, Joe Girardi said, close out the series, I want to play good baseball. Because what gives you the best chance to close out the series? Play the best baseball that you can play. And keep playing the best that you can play. Put your players in a position to do it. Be aggressive, be positive, play with good effort and toughness, and do a great job of executing. That's got to be the focus of what we need to do. Not focus on the result, but focus on the process of the things that you need to do to play the best football that you can play, individually and collectively. And that's what we all need to do. So the game is about the players, and there's a lot of good players, and this is two very good teams that have good players on both sides. And there's a lot to talk about in terms of what's going to happen on the field. And, Les Miles has done a fantastic job in the 5 years that he's been at LSU. They always play with toughness. They play with great effort. They're well coached on both sides of the ball and on special teams. Offensively, they've done a really good job. The quarterback's done a good job for them. Scott's a good runner. They got lots of good skilled players, two really, really good wide receivers. Offensive line's got 3 starters back. I mean, they've got a lot of good players, and defensively they're, 3rd or 4th in the league and one of the top, 15 in the country, top 10 in the country in lots of categories. And a lot of good players. They got great skilled people in the return game. So this is an outstanding football team. And, we have a lot of good leadership on our team. We have lots of good players on our team. Our focus needs to be on us playing our best football of the year, and that's certainly what we're going to coach to try to get our players to do.
Two things, Coach. First, could you update us on Colin Peak and how much, looking back, did his absence affect the offense last week?
Well, Colin ran in the pool yesterday. He's going to run today, so it'll be day-to-day to see how he can do. Hopefully he'll be able to do some functional things on Tuesday, and if everything goes well, we're hopeful that he'll be able to play in the game and contribute in the game. There's 2 other guys that have been bothered for quite some time with muscle pulls, Terry Grant and Dre Kirkpatrick, and they're kind of day-to-day, as well. Even though we tried to rest them some last week, both guys this has been kind of an ongoing thing with both guys that, we're going to try to continue to see if they can respond to the pulls that they have.
And the second part, just the Tennessee game was so emotional. How much did the off week help just to sort of put you back on an even keel?
Well, I think that when you play 8 games in a row, I think everybody's a little tired emotionally, mentally, physically, and it's been my experiences when you play more than 6 games in a row without getting some rest, it gets to be a little strain, on players to continue to make progress. So I think that the bye week did everybody a lot of good in terms of getting some rest, physically, mentally, emotionally, in every way in terms of finishing the season.
Coach, can you just talk about how you feel about the pass protection you've gotten from your offensive line this year and the challenge that LSU's pass rush should present?
Well, I think that our passing game needs to improve. I think that it starts with the protection, and I think that in the last few weeks we've gotten a little more pressure than what we got earlier in the season. LSU obviously has some very good pass rushers. 84 being one that is a pretty significant guy on the edge. And I think it's going to be important that if we're going to improve in the passing game, that every part of that improves. Protection improves, route runners improve, quarterback execution improves. Everything needs to improve. And it certainly starts up front because I think that's what can affect the quarterback the most in terms of him feeling like he can have the time to do what he needs to do to make good choices and decisions in the passing game, get the ball the right place.
Coach, 2 questions for you. I'm just curious if your message, your mantra changes to your players these last couple of games of the season?
No, I think that, we focus on the same things all the time in terms of what it takes to play winning football. That's what you want the players to focus on. I know it's a result world, but great competitors don't focus on the results. They focus on what they need to do to get the results. And sometimes that's difficult to do, especially with a lot of the external things that we live with. But that's the most important thing, to playing your best. And maybe we were affected by that a little bit in the last couple games. And I think we need to, it takes away your aggressiveness. I've said it before. You want to be aggressive and have high achievement motivation in what you're doing. Not lots of anxiety. Low anxiety, high achievement motivation. Best way to get results. And that's what, we're always trying to promote. And the best way to do that is to focus on the things you need to do to have success.
And we got a chance to ask a lot of the players last week how they were planning on spending their bye week. Just curious as to how you spent your bye weekend.
Well, I got away, but I also took my computer and had lots of tape to watch. And that's what I did most of the time. It rained for 2 days, so it was, good time to. And I really watched some football games, some baseball games on Saturday, and really enjoyed sort of seeing what everybody in the world goes through on Saturday rather than what I go through, which is to watch a whole bunch of games, flip back and forth on the channels, have about 4 games going at the same time, and a baseball game, and my wife yelling at me the whole time because, we're not watching what she wants to watch. So I understand. It's the first time that's happened all year, or for many years that I can remember.
Coach, back to the passing game. I think you've said a couple of times recently that you need to get the ball downfield more. Why hasn't that been happening as much lately?
Well, I think first of all, to get it down the field, you got to throw it down the field, and we haven't done that probably as frequently as we need to. And I think we have to be more aggressive in that part of what we're doing. I think we have the plays to do it. I think we have to have confidence in the players to be able to go execute those plays and give them an opportunity to make plays. And I think that's one of the things about when I say be aggressive, that's one of the things that we certainly want to be able to do.
Yeah, Coach, you said all along that the Wildcat was kind of a complement to what you wanted to do offensively, but it seems that lately it's been more what you go to more often in games. Do you feel like that's going to continue, or would you still like to see it as a complement to what you do?
I think it needs to be a complement to what you do. And I think one of the reasons that we've done it more is we've had a reasonable amount of success doing it. And I think every team will probably play it a little bit different, and you never know for sure how they're going to play it until you get in the game. And I think that has something to do with how much you use it, too.
And also, you've probably known John Chavis for years. What do you feel like he's been able to bring to that LSU defense, and are they doing a lot different from maybe what they've done the last couple of years?
Well, they do what he does, and he's a very good coach, and he was a great coach at Tennessee for a long time and one of the best defensive coordinators probably in the SEC. in terms of full body of work over a period of time. And certainly they're very well coached on defense. They've made a tremendous amount of improvement in terms of almost every statistical category that they have. And I think it's due to the scheme that they play, the soundness of they're very well coached, and the job that he's done there. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and what he's able to do. And I think the improvement is, probably the most telling tale of what I'm trying to say.
Hey, Coach. The fact that you clinched a berth in the SEC Championship with a win Saturday, is that something that you use as motivation, extra motivation this week, or is it something that you kind of
if you listen to anything I've said, you would not even ask the question. Is that right or wrong? I mean, I gave an example of what Joe Girardi said about closing out the series. What did he say? Did you hear that part? Just want to play good baseball. Just play our best football. Put our players in the best position to have success. That's what they need to focus on individually and collectively. That's what we need to focus on as a team. And not worry about the results and the consequences and the scoreboard, but play every play in the game like it has a history and a life of its own, and execute and do the things you need to do to have success. Do I need to repeat it again?
I may be giving you a chance to repeat it again, Coach, so
okay,
we may run through it again. But there is to get in a player's heads where they're not afraid to make mistakes when you've got this much to lose. And I know it's easy to say you play every play and everything, but how do you drive that home with them where they're not thinking about what they have to lose before what they have to gain?
To me, you want to play aggressively and think about what you have to gain. And that's your motivation. Be as good as you can be. Play as well as you can play. Play the best football you can play. Put yourself in the best position to make plays and execute together as a unit. And every guy on the team understands that's the role. And that's the best way to get results. And I know it's easy to say, but that's what we would rather focus on rather than creating a lot of fear and negative motivation about here's what's going to happen if you don't. I'm going to threaten you with what's going to happen if you don't. It doesn't work with my kids. It doesn't work with our players. It doesn't work with anything. And I know that's what everybody wants to do. And I'm not sure. I think it's negative motivation, and I'm not sure people respond well to it. And I don't think many of the teams that I've coached, and we've been in some big games before, and so have our players. And they need to understand what they need to do to have success in those kind of games. And worrying about what you're going to lose is not one of them. But there's still a lot of football to play, regardless of what happens in this game for both teams. They got more games to play, and we got more games to play. And every one of those games are going to be just as important as this game.
For a young running back, Ingram seems pretty decisive as he runs. Can you talk about that growth in him, his style of running and being a power back like that?
Right. Well, I think there's, a couple things. I think Mark's very confident. Got to play last year a lot as a freshman, gained a lot of knowledge and experience by doing that, had a reasonable amount of success, and this year had just grown more confident. But, I think Mark's sort of a unique style of being a guy that has speed, has a make-you-miss ability to avoid tacklers, but has strength and power and is difficult to tackle as well, and has a tremendous competitive spirit about him, and is a true warrior in terms of the way he competes and the way he plays. So I think all those things contribute to his style and to his success. And, we're extremely pleased for the success that he's having. He would be the first guy that would talk about his teammates and how they contribute to that, and also to some of the attention that he's created because of that.
Coach, you mentioned last week that you might take a look at a couple different things at the pass rushing position, the dime. I was wondering if you found anything last week.
Well, we continue to work guys in different positions. I think we got to work with a lot of young players a little more than we normally do in the bye week. But Courtney's doing a better job. Chavis did a good job when he was in there. Darrell Harris is starting to. It was a good week for him just to go back and work on fundamentals and assignments and things that can help him improve as a player with all the time that he missed. And I think all those players are better for it. I don't think that we're ready to announce any changes in any of those things, but I think all those players will have an opportunity to make a contribution in some way.